Hey everyone, how you doing? It's me, the toasty dude named Thomas, and yeah, I know, it's been months, once again, but hey, I'm back and I just so happen to be in time to talk about the new Pokemon Presents. You wouldn't know it by the lack of it on my channel, but I am quite the Pokemon fan. However, I am one of those fans who feels as though Game Freak hasn't exactly been putting out top quality games for a while, and as the Pokemon Presents got closer and closer, I was very worried with how Pokemon Legends ZA was going to look. But before we get to that, I do want to at least share my thoughts on the other things that were shown during this presentation. Firstly, Pokemon Concierge. It's the new stop-motion Pokemon series, which honestly looks like it'll be a lot of fun to watch. There's going to be some Terra raids for the final evolution of the Gen 9 starters, along with the Pseudo Legendaries. That's pretty cool, I guess. Pokemon Masters EX, with Brandon and May rocking some pretty sweet clothes, not gonna lie. Pokemon Cafe, I honestly could not care for. Same thing can be said for Unite and Sleep. A new Pokemon trading card game pack that you just know is going to be scalped out the wazoo. Pokemon Champions was quite the surprise, as it's essentially an official version of Pokemon Showdown. And judging by the home compatibility, it looks to be a game that'll allow you to use all your Pokemon from across the 9 generations. Or at least that's what it seems like, but it still looks promising. And that's really all I have to say for all of this. It's all cool stuff, but you've read the title of the video. I'm here to mainly talk about what we all tuned in for, Pokemon Legends ZA. Before we go any further, I just want to point out that a lot of what I say here is based on first impressions, so I might miss or be incorrect on a few things, so don't be afraid to comment down below if I do. Now, while I did enjoy Legends Arceus, I was initially worried before the trailer was shown because when you consider how much of a mess Scarlet and Violet was, I was very worried Legends ZA would be no different. But when I saw the trailers, it looked to be a step up compared to Scarlet and Violet. I know that's not a high bar to get over, and it does look rough in some areas, but it's passable. I did notice when the trainer is running, the Pokemon is running closer to the same speed as them, which means they finally fixed Pokemon following you. In terms of character designs, it looks like they're going with the style seen in Generation 9, but they do look nice. I like Vinny, he looks pretty dripped out in that suit. Jet has a very Donald Trump looking hairdo, which is kinda funny, and the player characters, you could not make them look any more French hipster than this. The starter choices are between Totodile, Tepig, and Chikorita. I do find it a bit odd that it's 2 starters from one generation and 1 starter from another generation, but it's certainly not a bad selection overall. Well, except for Chikorita. It sucks. And I'm pretty sure I just pissed off every single Chikorita fan. The gameplay looks to be the same loop that was present within Legends Arceus, where you catch Pokemon for research. But what I wasn't expecting is the battle system. Instead of it being turn-based, it looks to be a more action-oriented system where Pokemon can actually move around the battlefield and dodge attacks, like in the anime. You'll be able to catch Pokemon before they faint, which is really handy in case you accidentally do too much damage. I do wonder if you're going to be allowed to throw out multiple Pokemon, because back in Legends Arceus, there would be moments where you'd get ganged up on by multiple Pokemon, and you could only use one at a time, which kind of made the space-time distortions hard to fight in. It also appears to take place in the present, where we're going to be helping the redevelopment company with turning Lumino City into a futuristic paradise, and you'll be able to explore all around it, especially on the rooftops. As a whole, the game so far looks to be fun. However, because I am one of those Pokemon fans, I have a few concerns, some of which involve gameplay. Like, how is the gameplay loop going to work this time around with the premise of the game being to make Lumino City this people in Pokemon paradise? Are you going to catch Pokemon to get a better understanding of how to adapt the city to their liking? That's all I can assume. Granted, you were doing the same thing in Legends Arceus, bringing people and Pokemon together, but that took place in the past when Pokemon and people were very separate and not reliant on each other. I don't know how that's going to work with a game that takes place in the present. I'm also not sure if having Legends ZA take place entirely in the city with zones to catch Pokemon in between is a good idea. Sure, Kalos didn't exactly have the most interesting towns and cities, but it would have been nice to have other locations to check out. I'm also hoping the side quests are more interesting this time around, because Legends Arceus had a lot of side quests I did not bother with, since a lot of them rewarded items I had in bunches. And I hope there is some form of actual multiplayer, because this definitely looks like the kind of game that would benefit from it, as the only real thing you could do with other players is pick up their lost satchels and trade with them. it still looks fun, but I am curious as to how they're going to make the game being in one area work. But now, I want to get to my most major concern. And yes, I'm really gonna talk about it, the graphics. As I said earlier, they look passable, but at the same time, I think Game Freak could make Legend ZA look less like an upscale 3DS game. There's also frame drops, which are a bit worrying. Bad frame rates were a notable issue with Scarlet and Violet, among all the other technical problems it had, which, for a multi-billion-dollar franchise, is very inexcusable. I've seen some people make the argument that gameplay is more important than graphics, and yeah, I can agree to some extent, but when you're on a console with Mario Odyssey, which looks amazing and fun to play, there is no reason to skimp out on making the presentation stunning. Look, everyone complaining about the graphics are not asking for 4K and realism. All we're asking is for Game Freak to take more than a baby step with the graphics, and not just leave them at passable. The Let's Go games showed they are capable of making a Pokemon game that is visually pleasing in addition to being fun to play, which is what they should be aiming for, but why would they bother when they could just do the bare minimum? I don't want to keep giving these games money if it means they'll never improve and just take baby steps to make it seem like they're improving. I don't want that to be the case, but when you look at Palworld, which blew up for giving Pokemon fans an experience they have been dying for and looks leagues better, you done goofed, Game Freak. But honestly, at the end of the day, however, it's important to remind ourselves that these are only the first 2 trailers, and any concerns I've shared in this video could be put to rest by the time the game comes out. And with everything I've said in this video, I'm not saying you can't be excited for Pokemon Legends ZA. You can be hyped for a game, but don't be afraid to point out any concerns that may pop up when watching a game's trailer. Based on what we have so far, Legends ZA looks to be an improvement from Scarlet and Violet, and the battle system makes it another much-needed shakeup for the series that I feel could use some more polish in the presentation department. But at the end of the day, all we can do is reserve judgment until the game is in our hands. And with that said, that is going to be it for this video. Be sure to leave a like, comment down below your thoughts on the trailers and which starter you'll be picking, and if you want to hear more from me, subscribe and hit the bell icon for all my future uploads. I am the toasty dude named Thomas, saying thanks for watching, and until next time, have a good one.